This week, Bryton announced an all-new bike computer called the Rider S500. The S stands for Sport, and this is actually the first GPS cycling computer to kick off a new series of bike computers in this S series premium product line. For me personally, I haven't had it too long, but I have been able to get out for a few rides, and I think it might be another bike computer that we should all be considering. Now, some of you guys might remember my video talking about the Bryton Rider 750. I'll link it up here if you guys want to check that out. But the new S500 feels very similar. When you start up the device, or if you actually swipe up on the device touchscreen, you have this home screen where you can swipe between 3 personal bikes, and you can kind of think of those as like profiles that you can set up if you'd like to from the home screen. You can also load courses, you can go into map navigation, or you can go into the settings area where you can kind of add sensors. For me personally, I didn't have any issues with the wide variety of sensors that I tried. I was able to connect a heart rate chest strap, 2 different power meters, a smart bike trainer, and a Garmin Varia radar. No issues with connectivity whatsoever during that time frame, and it displayed all of the information on all of those devices perfectly. So, some basic details here. This is a 2.4-inch screen, weighs about 87 grams, which is a touch heavier than the 530 and the Wahoo Bolt version 2, which are 2 other bike computers with a similar price point that you might be considering, if you're considering this device. Price point on this is $300, or they actually have a sensor bundle package that includes a speed, heart rate, cadence sensor, and a sport mount. That costs $380. Other hardware improvements, Bryton has added USB-C to this device for charging. It has a faster processor, so things should load and feel snappier on this device. The touchscreen feels a bit more responsive to me, and I think that has a lot to do with that processor speed, as opposed to any real changes in the touchscreen performance itself. Again, touchscreens like this are always going to struggle in rainy conditions, or if you have gloves on, which is right now in the Pacific Northwest where I live. Luckily, this device has 4 physical buttons, so you can do pretty much everything you need to do without using the touchscreen. If you want to. And in my opinion, I think that this is how all touchscreens should do it. Also, this has a lock button where you can lock the touchscreen so raindrops don't cause all kinds of crazy things to happen to your touchscreen. Again, this is how it should be done. Offer up the touchscreen, but make sure people have the option to use buttons. One annoyance with the buttons is that each of these buttons are directly across from each other. When bikers sometimes use buttons on their bike computers, they kind of just grab at it and squeeze, and you can kind of accidentally press 2 buttons at the same time. It'd be nice if they kind of staggered the positions of these buttons a little bit, but I would say that's kind of a minor annoyance or minor recommendation for future products. Also, on the new hardware is an ambient light sensor, so the device can actually adjust screen brightness according to current lighting conditions, which is good for a couple of reasons. One, it's just good to have a brighter screen when you need it. Secondly, when you don't need it, it's nice to kind of dim the screen a touch and just improve the battery life performance. This device also has just a slew of new software features. Bryton has had the ability to do voice search for navigation. I think it's pretty innovative. I don't think I've seen anything like that on any other bike computers that I can think of. But you basically tap to kind of start speaking to the device, and then stop when you're done. And it's actually gonna kick that information over to your smartphone. Your smartphone does have to be connected, and is using Google Voice Search API to actually perform a search and then return some sort of information to the actual device itself to do the navigation. And this isn't new specifically to the S500. That voice search is something that you can do on the Bryton Rider 750. I just am having a good bit more luck with it on this newer device. Also new specifically to the S500 is this new feature called Climber Challenge. And I would definitely describe it very similar to something like Garmin's Climb Pro or Hammerhead's Climber feature. And it's the ability for the user to, use a known route to generate detailed climbing information, so when a large climb is coming up, or how many climbs you have left in a particular route. And when you're actually on the climb itself, you get a lot of really good detailed information about, how long the climb is, where the climb gets really steep, with specific gradient information, and how many more meters or feet of climbing you have left in a climb. And I actually think that these features are extremely popular. First, because cyclists love to climb, but secondly, it really gives cyclists a lot of very useful information about their ride. You can really time and balance your efforts using a feature like this. And in a race situation, it can be a real competitive advantage. One thing that is nice about the Climber Challenge feature is that you can actually adjust those climbs if the auto-generated climbs are a little off. It's not something that I felt like I needed to do necessarily, but I might make one small adjustment to the big climb that's next to my house, maybe just bring back the finish a touch. There's also new topo maps that can be downloaded from Bryton. There's a new custom workout view. There's smart workouts that you can use to follow workouts right on the device itself. I already mentioned that the device supports Garmin Varia radar, which, for me at this point, I really refuse to ride without. It also supports displaying all the e-bike metrics like assist level, battery, travel range, and gear positions. And all in all, I think Bryton makes, very solid bike computers. They've really always impressed me with the absolute insane number of features for the price that they charge for these devices. And I think, if it were me and I was choosing between the, older Bryton Rider 750 and this new S500, I think I would choose the new one. It's $30 more. Overall, I think it feels faster, more responsive. I love that new Climber Challenge feature. It also brings the pricing in line with, other devices like the Garmin Edge 530, which I do tend to recommend a lot on this channel, as well as that Wahoo Bolt, which is another device that I tend to use a lot personally. All of these devices are good choices. And I think, it really is gonna come down for you guys to, if you think it's worth it to have a touchscreen or not. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I don't think that I'm going to change my overall recommendations at this point, but I am amazed at how well Bryton has done with this bike computer at that $300 price point. All right, be sure to get out there, swim, bike, run, rinse, and then repeat it all over again. And we will see you guys on the next one.